Our next storyteller is a freelance writer who lives in Oakland. She is the author of the upcoming lesbian sex haiku guide for cats. Something like that. She has been many times on the Savage Love podcast with Dan Savage. And she is a favorite at Bawdy, but we have not had her in many, many years. So this is a return to the stage. Give it up super fucking hard. Do you know how hard it was to get her here? Super fucking hard. Anna Pulley!
Damn. Thank you. That's fucking awesome. So when I was 17, I decided that I was going to finally lose my virginity. Thank you. It took about 4 more years, but that's another story. Just to give you a little idea of 17-year-old me, basically this, but covered in gingham and always wearing a scrunchie that was purely decorative because I did not actually wear my hair up. So when I was 17, I was really good at losing just about everything. My car keys, my leftovers, my dignity. But losing my virginity proved to be an elusive battle that I struggled with for years. And part of the reason for that was because I had just been dumped by my high school boyfriend, James, whom I was still desperately in love with. And to give you an idea of how desperate, it took me 3 years to get over him, which is not too bad in the field of teen grief, except for the fact that we were only together for 6 months, which is ridiculous even to me. So I thought James was super hot. He was wolfish, kind of vampiric before I was cool. Kind of scowly in like a Bronte novel kind of way. Except for the fact that when he kissed, it was sort of reminiscent of a snake having a seizure. That was his only fault. But I didn't, so my friends actually didn't agree with my assessment of his attractiveness. Go figure. They would later describe him as looking like the unfortunate love child of Mitt Romney and Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. I really wanted to show you guys a picture, but there's not a screen, so find me afterwards and I'll show you. But none of that mattered, of course. I thought he was super hot. And he played Jewel songs for me on the guitar. Thank God I'm not alone. And so, I was like, this is it. Like, our love is forever binding, and it's never going to go away. Until 6 months later, it did. And he met a waitress at Coco's, which is where he worked, which is a chain restaurant in the mall, if you're not familiar. It caters to old people, mostly. So he met her, and he cheated on me with her, and dumped me, and then married her, 2 years later. Yeah, we're in high school. Crazy, he married her. And so I was, of course, devastated. And I lost my belief in the power that Jewel songs could save any relationship, which was shattering. And so I was bereft. I spent the next month or so crying hysterically and writing a lot of feelings poetry in my journal, which I then turned into songs, which was actually my probably one and only and greatest act of revenge, because I played the song that I wrote about James at our high school talent show, where he was also performing. And I beat him. Do you guys want to hear a little bit of the song that I wrote? Okay. So, pretend I have a guitar and that I know 3 chords. It goes like this. It's called I Hope You're on Fire Somewhere. I find ways to blame you for every little thing. It's your fault that I stubbed my toe. It's your fault I can't sing. So that was the first month of our breakup. And then a friend, a very wise friend, and her wiseness was gleaned because she was the only one of our friend group who had smoked pot a couple of times. So she was like our Yoda. She told me, Anna, if you want to get over someone, you have to get under someone. This was revolutionary to me. I had never heard it. And I was like, yes, I'm going to do just that. And so I shoved my feelings poetry aside, and I prepared for my new life, which I presumed would involve a lot of dicks. And on that front, I turned out to be very right. The first guy that I met was named Will, and he also worked at a restaurant. It was JB's, which is like a trashier version of Denny's if you've never been. And Will was almost exactly like James. He looked like him. He kind of talked like him. The one place that they differed was that Will was a born-again Christian. And I was not super fond of religion, really. My parents taught me, a smattering of hippie when I was growing up. And my Native American mother gave me her vague sense of spirituality, which basically involved putting sage on a lot of things, which I still do. And one time I went to Sunday school, just once. I was 7. And the Sunday school teacher yelled at me because she asked the students to draw God, what they thought God was like. And I drew my cat swimming in the ocean. Thank you. Apparently that was wrong. I got yelled at at 7. It's terrible. But aside from that, I didn't have any real religion experience, and so Will's born-again-ness didn't really faze me yet. So we went on a date. We went to Denny's. We had coffee. And afterward, he invited me back to his apartment to look at his yearbook, which a smarter person probably would have seen right through that, but I was not a smart person, and I was turning over a new leaf, as you remember, a sluttier one. So I said yes, and also I was the editor of my school's yearbook, so I had a little bit of interest in seeing all the yearbooks. So to his credit, we did look at yearbooks for like 10 minutes. And then that got boring, and he put away his yearbook, and sort of out of nowhere, he whipped out his Bible and started reading passages out loud to me. And he was like, "This is so dope. Check this out. This is a passage from Corinthians." He says, "Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. Doesn't that blow your mind?" And I agreed that it did, even though it didn't really seem like something that needed to be spelled out, Like, put that on a poster with a kitten, I'm sure you'll sell 1 million copies. So, whatever. He's reading that, but I didn't really have time to ponder it because the next thing he says to me is, I'm really turned on and I need to masturbate. Not, I would like to masturbate, or even I want to masturbate with you. I need to masturbate, he said. But I didn't, again, have time to think about it much because before I could, he had whipped out his dick, pulled down his khakis, and started to furiously stroke his Bible-induced boner. And a very small part of me was like, maybe you have a little bit to do with Will's sudden excitement. But even I knew that this was an erection for God. So he started jerking up, and I'm sitting there, and I realize, unfortunately, that my hands are clasped in front of me in an unintentional prayer-like position as he was doing this. And so I'm 17. I didn't know shit about sex or agency, and that was part of the reason why I didn't stop him. I didn't know how to stop him. I thought we were going to maybe kiss and fondle a little bit, and that didn't happen at all. We went straight to second base or something, whatever second base is. And as I was doing that, I was just completely shocked. I didn't know what to do. And so I found myself sort of looking around his room and scrutinizing the walls. And I was like, why does every teenage boy have the same Scarface poster on their wall? Get a new poster. We don't care. But so he did that. He jerked off. And he finished without ceremony and zipped up and then drove me home. And while I could sort of say that something vaguely sexual had happened to me, it wasn't something that I was going to be bragging about in the AOL chat rooms that I frequented. Nor was I anywhere closer to losing my virginity. We didn't even kiss the entire night. Yeah, fuck that guy. So, a few days pass. He's calling me. I'm not returning his calls. I thought about it, but I did not return his calls. So he comes to my work, which is Mervyn's in the mall, in the shoe department, and he gives me 2 CDs. One is Korn's self-titled album, and the second is the Eagles' greatest hits. And I have no idea what I did to deserve these particular gifts. But in my better mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe this is his way of apologizing for what happened. But not even the liquid honey voice of Don Henley could make me unsee what I had seen and unfeel what I had felt. However, I was fairly sure that at least I had finally had a religious experience, kind of. Thank you so much. Also, thank you so much. If you like that, I have an email newsletter that you can sign up for at the merch table. And if you didn't like it, you can sign your enemies up, and it's the same thing. So thank you so much.